Hi, I'm Caitlin Catoni, and in this video, I want to show you how to correctly use your calculator, especially the exponent function. So one of the most common pitfalls in chemistry with respect to your calculator is not putting in the exponent the correct way. Here's a sample problem. When students put this in their calculator, occasionally, to maybe half of the time, it depends, we will end up with an incorrect answer. And that's because what we're putting in our calculator is not what our calculator is interpreting. And so we need to remember a couple of things in order to correctly put values into our calculator and make sure that our calculator is reading it the way that we want the calculator to. Now, there's two really good ways to put exponents in your calculator. I prefer one over the other, but then there's one big pitfall that we need to avoid. Maybe two. We'll see. So if you want, you can go ahead and put this in your calculator and see what you get. So I want to show you what the most common calculator that I see students use looks like and how to use it. Now, even if you don't have the TI-30X IIS, that's fine, because all calculators are going to have the same general functions. It's just a matter of where the button is located on your calculator. So let's go ahead and practice putting in that same problem on the earlier page. Let's go ahead and put that in here. So if I put this in my calculator, what I would do is I would first put in the number 3, right? So I'd hit 3. Personally, I don't type in the 0.00 because I know that my calculator isn't going to spit out significant figures anyway. So I don't put in 0.00, but I know students feel more comfortable doing that. So you can do that. That's fine. So you can put in 3.00. The next thing that you can do is to use what's called the EE button. The EE button takes care of the times 10 to the power of, and then you would type in the 8. So where's the EE button on your calculator? And this particular calculator, the EE button is right here above that x to the -1. It's not even really its own button. So how do we activate the EE button? What you need to do is press the second and then the button that is below that EE. And that EE takes care of the times 10 to the. So if we put in EE, then all we have to put in and enter after that is the number 8 for the 8 exponent. So we put in that EE, it takes care of a whole bunch of other stuff for us, and it's really great. Then we can hit the divided by symbol, go through that process again. We type in 4, the decimal, the 1, the 8, and then we hit second to activate the the x to the -1 button. That gets us our EE. In this case, because we have a -9 exponent, we need to put in the negative symbol, which is on this calculator, the bottom right-hand corner of your calculator. So right here. So you put in the negative and then you put in the 9. And then you hit equals. And it'll spit out your answer. If you did it properly, you should get 7.177 times 10 to the +16th. So see how I paused there for a minute and thought about it? That's because there's mental tricks to solving these problems too, but we can worry about that in another video. So this doesn't have correct significant figures. We're not even to that point yet. We're just trying to practice putting things in our calculator. So we've put this in our calculator. This is one way. Let's look at another way. The way that students feel more comfortable putting things in their calculator is by actually typing in, instead of the EE for the times 10, most students prefer, their natural tendency is to type in 3.00 and then they hit the times button. So they hit the X for the times button. Then they put in the number 10. And then they put in the caret over here on the left-hand side of your calculator. And then they put in the 8. So for me personally, I feel like that's a lot more work. And then when I pause and think about it, I think, well, that's kind of silly, right? It's not that much more work. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, the EE is faster. And then they hit the divided by symbol. And then they go through the process again. They do 4.18 times 10 caret, and then the negative sign, and then 9. And then they hit equals. Guess what? You get it wrong. Why do you get it wrong? Oh, what a beautiful question. So the reason that you get it wrong is because your calculator is misinterpreting it. And really, it's not that the calculator is misinterpreting it. It's that you're not writing it in the way that the calculator makes sense of it. So how do you use this format if this is your favorite and make sure you always get it right? The thing that you would need to do is you need to add parentheses. If you're not going to use the EE function and you prefer the times 10 caret 8, then you need to put that whole darn thing in parentheses. Same here. So now you can see why I like the EE button, because the EE button links the 3 and the 10 to the 8th together as one number, and the calculator recognizes it as one number, so I don't need to worry about putting in parentheses. But if you're going to do it this way, you have to put in parentheses, and then you'll get the correct answer. So if you put in your parentheses, you will again get your 7.177 times 10 to the 16th power. Let's talk about one other big pitfall that we need to avoid. So the last big pitfall here is sometimes students will search on their calculator and they'll find this right here in the upper left-hand corner. This one that says 10 to the X power. And they think, oh, I want 10 to the X power. Oh, no you don't. Because here, this is actually an anti-log. Completely not what you want for this problem. Right? It looks like it might be what you want, but it is not. So do not use the 10 to the X button, because that is not giving you 10 to the whatever power you want. It's actually the opposite of a log. So I have a practice problem here for you. Now that we know the buttons to push, go ahead, put this in your calculator and see what you get. So I'm going to wait for you, right? We'll pause and wait. Okay, are you ready to compare? You should have gotten 4.83 times 10 to the 16th power. If you got that, then you know how to put things in your calculator, and you will do a great job making sure that you get it right every time. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to leave a comment telling me what other videos you'd like to see, as well as like and subscribe.